Late night talking under moon's glow. Charles and Melendia got the flow.
Hey, what's up, fam?
What's up, fam?
All right, just keeping it real with Charles and
Melindia.
Yep. Look, we got a special guest today,
We do.
and I'm gonna have Melinda go ahead and just give us a little information.
You know, we had the privilege of meeting this young man at Podcast Summit and in Atlanta, and we found a jewel. We literally, I believe, found a jewel, and
Appreciate that.
feel like that he can expound on his experiences as well as letting you know that he does have a podcast that is absolutely I mean it's so passionate. It's and he's going to talk about where that passion comes from.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called Love in the Details, and he'll talk a little bit more about that. And it's the Lovebird's Nest. So I love everything about that. And we'll get a little bit into Mr. Conroy
Yes.
and how he started this journey and where his journey has taken him and what he has experienced during the journey. So welcome so much. We welcome you so much. So
Thank you very much for having me.
Just keep
got such a pure heart. You tune into this episode, you'll love every bit of it.
I appreciate that.
and definitely wisdom above years. You know, I'm trying to say. So
I get that a lot.
All right, good. Yeah, definitely. So the thing is, we want you to share and convey to our audience, because I know we had talked, and sometimes you find yourself, if you're dealing with small issues, and we make little things big things, sometimes we need something to help balance us or bring us back to earth. And that's what we need. And after meeting you, you shared a part of your story, which we connected on the platform, and you shared some things there and about our podcast. You gave us some positive feedback about, because of time we were talking over each other, so didn't forget that as well. And so we've been more conscious about doing that. But there was something that resonated where you shared with us the part of going through a marriage and losing a spouse.
Right.
Now, that's something that I know plenty of people have dealt with. I know my brother has dealt with that. I think he did 2021 after almost 50 years being with his wife. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say this, that when I spoke with my brother who went through that. And when he talked like he was good, he's moving on, he's doing, and this was shortly, to hear him say it, and my wife overheard the conversation. She walked by and she hit me, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you, because she felt, oh, he's doing too well. And she felt like, don't tell me you would do that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I would be a broken man, to be honest with you. And I want you to share from the pureness of your heart that experience.
So it's number one, again, humbled to be here, and that's a very warm intro that you guys just gave. And I think what's important to your first initial question. I felt the same way. Just even getting married, right? And you have this expectation that you're going to grow old together. You're going to get to, 50, 60 years of a wedding anniversary, everything like that, especially for, both of us being young. Even though my wife was 10 years older, she had a young soul.
Okay.
Right? It still does, in my opinion.
Sure.
But to think of going through life and existing without her, never thought I would be where I'm even at right now.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
So I guess to get to how am I here? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing is because of the intentionality that I had with being a husband.
Sure. Okay.
Right? And this started from a tender age of probably 5 years old. And I've been telling folks more of this story, but growing up with a Caribbean background, church is not optional; it's mandatory, right? And I even think of just back in the day that was just something that was more prominent, especially in the Black household, regardless of the culture that is attached to.
Yeah.
And and I'll never forget it, because there was one day that I think the children's Sunday school teacher was not around, and most of the parents didn't want to leave, right? Because they wanted to go through their Sunday school. So for those who had kids that were quiet enough or calm enough, I should say, to sit through the adult Sunday school, they brought them in. So obviously I was one of those kids, right? I just knew how to stay in a child's place, be quiet and observe what's going on. But in that moment, I remember that particular day they were studying the book of Genesis. They started from the very beginning. And my biggest takeaway, and mind you, this is from a 5-year-old perspective.
Right.
Genesis chapter 2, I think it's 26. I'm not going to quote it because I don't remember it word for word. But what I took away from it was God wanted us as human beings, when it came to marriage, cling to your wife.
But for this comes, right?
For me, as a mama's boy, I thought to myself in that moment, I'm going to meet somebody that I have to basically put my mom to the side for. Like I couldn't, again, I'm 5. I just couldn't see how a woman is going to be more important than my mom, right? But on the flip side, understanding that, again, in that moment, if we're going to church to get closer to God, if we're using the Bible as the guide to get back to God,
Right.
if he's telling the first 2 humans that they needed to be connected to the hip and do everything together, because that's how you're going to have the everlasting life, why can't we make sure that we're doing that? Because it's in the good book. So from 5 years old, I always knew I wanted to be a husband.
Okay.
Because it's what we're meant to be, just to be married. Right. And I used to have these conversations with my mom from a very young age of, I'm going to be married. I'm going to do this. I'm going to marry this type of person. And my mom was like, why are you even thinking about that? I don't need to talk about no grades. You need to focus on school and that's it. Right. But you fast forward to I would say like early 20s, because that's when I met my wife. And we met as literally just friends.
Okay.
Right? I wasn't even thinking about the physical at all. I definitely see somebody that was sought after every male that just lays eyes on her. Beautiful. Long hair. She gets mistaken for being Spanish because she's light skinned, but again, long, beautiful hair. Always carried herself with elegance, right? And some were intimidated by her presence because she had an aura about her. Because she just moves in confidence. She's a Capricorn. That's what they're known. Capricorn women are known for that, right? And, right. So you get it. And when we started our friendship, believe it or not, I was of the mindset I'm going to help her find her husband. Right? Because I did I expect it to not at all.
Yes, not at all.
Because again, there was a 10-year difference, right? I was still in school, at the time when we met. And there was one day we were hanging out with, a few friends, because we were always either playing spades or dominoes in the student lounge. And one particular day, everyone, had kind of left the lounge a little early.
Okay.
And she wanted to finish the conversation that we were having around the spades table. So I was like, all right. So she's like, come in my office. Okay, cool. So we finished that conversation, and I look up on her wall, and I was instantly corrected, but I called it a collage, which she was highly upset. She was like, that is not a collage. That is my vision board, and I need you to get that straight. Okay. All right, my bad. But what I noticed in that conversation, and also just paying attention to the board, I saw beaches with crystal clear blue water. So I said, okay, that's either the Caribbean or the Maldives or, something along those lines, which I was right. It was both. It was the Bahamas and it was Bora Bora.
Okay.
I also noticed that there was a wedding dress.
Okay.
There was a couple of rings. Then there was Al Horford, who at the time had just got recently drafted to the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay.
And then there was Willie Parker, who was the starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I was like, okay, I know this dude because I watched him win championships at University of Florida. I said, who's this guy? That's Willie Parker. One of them are going to be my husband. So I think she wanted like a different reaction, but she said that so confidently that I believed it. So I said, oh, all right. So what's your plan on getting them?
Right.
Because you're going to probably have to put yourself in a position that you're seen.
Sure.
Right. And now here I am walking her through with a whole bunch of questions. Like, you need to have a game plan. Because again, as a Virgo, I'm always thinking, right. And trying to organize things. That conversation probably lasted about an hour and a half.
Okay.
And thankfully I didn't have classes the rest of the afternoon. So I didn't skip class. But once we got done, she just looked at me differently. She's like, nobody has ever asked me any of those questions before, right? No one has ever given me that type of time, that type of detail, and also taken me seriously. So I said, well, that's kind of easy for me to do.
Sure.
Right? And, looking back at those type of conversations, looking back on where we came from, looking back on the foundation that we had, and all of the small little conversations where, to some folks it may be meaningless, but for me, even at the time, I cherished those things, right? Because I never had somebody that poured into me that way that she did, right? And she put the battery in my back in times where I didn't even know that I needed it. Because, typically I'm very confident in the things I put my mind towards, right? I know that from previous experiences, and you guys have said this off camera, like I'm an old soul, right?
Yes.
There's there's a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of just wisdom that I share, or I could be very motivating, to some people. So to know that those attributes existed from other people, it was still different the way that she poured into me.
Yes.
Right? And now to Melendia, to answer your initial question about the podcast of me starting Loving the Details. So for the rest of the audience watching, my wife recently passed from breast cancer. She had a 2.5-year battle, beat it a couple of times starting in the ending of 2022. She beat it again in 23, beat it again in 24.
Okay.
But at the end of 24, it came back with a vengeance, right? And it was very, very aggressive, got to the point of just spreading everywhere. And she literally lasted a month and 2 days in the hospital. So for me, still partly answering your question, Charles, in that moment, I still had all the faith and the hope in the world that God was going to take care of my wife and get her better like he did the last couple of times. Yeah. So I never wavered. I never even thought of the fact that there's even a possibility that my wife wasn't going to pull through. Right. So I never gave that type of thought process, any type of energy, because I didn't think that was going to ever be my reality, or at least not right now. And to see how things deteriorated as fast as they did, and then eventually my wife did pass 2 days after my son's 12th birthday. And I did not want to be in the room, when that moment was happening, because I wanted to still feel, her life, her energy. And my son did as well. So, he walked out the room not too long after I did, because she was put in a medically induced coma on his 12th birthday. So for me as a parent, like, that broke me for a while. That whole day, like, I was an absolute mess. But I still didn't want to believe that happened or was going to happen. Right. The end. And I go back to that night. I ended up texting one of my close cousins that lives in Virginia. As soon as I text her, like, hey, my wife's in a coma, she said, hang up the phone, text me your address, I'm on the way. Because I knew I couldn't, at that point, I was so fragile in the moment that I knew I couldn't go to the hospital by myself, even though my son was with me. I knew I needed extra support.
Yes.
Exactly.
So after my cousin arrived, we're in the waiting area. We go in the room, we see her, and then the team of doctors, they wanted to do a huddle up with me, right? And in the moment, I'm telling them, I said, okay, I understand that you guys are, telling me from the medical standpoint, from the science standpoint, what the situation is. But I said, I don't know who you believe in, but I believe in God, right? I also believe in my wife, that she's a fighter, and she's going to get through this. And, it may seem grim for you guys, but I'm holding out hope that she's going to pull through.
Right.
Yes.
And if she, for whatever reason, does not, I'm still allowing this to happen on God's time. I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm just going to allow nature to take its course.
Sure.
And, long story short, obviously things just changed in a 24-hour window that I don't think I was prepared for. I didn't want to believe it when it was happening right in front of me, of just watching her, everything just take place. And, everything's just started failing, like, within minutes. Like, everything was just falling apart. And going to that Friday morning, November 8th, around, because she passed at 8:08. So I want to say at like 8:05, 8:06, I'm talking to my son and I'm letting him know, like, hey, you have not spent a day, a night without mommy in your 12 years. But I haven't done anything without your mom in the last 16. So for us, this is a new chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're going to be learning this together. And the one thing that I have learned to tap into over these last few months is turning my pain into power.
Sure.
Because dealing with a loss this close, for anyone, I don't think we'll ever be prepared. Especially when you don't have time to plan, you don't have time to think.
Exactly.
And for me, I guess going into the details on what has helped me so far is the fact that I took advantage of appreciating my wife on a daily basis.
Okay.
Right? And on my podcast, I talk about the little things because I realized for me how important they were in just my everyday life, work life, husband life, father life, sibling life, son life. And I always paid attention to certain things, right? And appreciated, that. So for me, I spoke at her funeral and all I did was just tap into a lot of the previous conversations that we did have. And then as I'm talking, mind you, I don't really remember everything that I said because that day was a blur. I'm not a big funeral person, period.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like dead things.
Yeah.
I don't even care if it's a baby bird I'm walking across the street. If I see anything, just it's weird. Like, I don't even like to drive next to a hearse. Like, so if there's some type of death phobia, somebody let us know in the comments. But that's me, right? So to get to the point that I had to go to a funeral home and pick out a casket, I had to go pick out what she was going to wear for that ceremony.
Yeah.
Because there was a point that I couldn't even say funeral.
Sure.
Right.
It was very hard to just put thoughts together because I still didn't want to accept reality that the love of my life is gone.
Yes. Right. So, Conroy, just listening to you, and I must say a heart-wrenching story to that degree, and your life experience with that. I mean, gosh, man, I have to say that I went through all the hurt. Were there times where you got angry with God through that?
I wouldn't say angry, but I definitely asked that heavy 3-letter question. Why?
Yes, sir. And I think that's reason.
And I think I spent, realistically, I probably asked that question for about 3 weeks in a row on repeat.
Sure.
Why her? Why me? Why this way? Why now? I asked why in so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
And what came to me in the most subtle way, because I think that's how God works. There's never really anything loud and profound. It's those whispers, right? So the whisper that I got initially is, you now have a new purpose. But it was just plain like that. So I'm like, okay, what is my purpose now? I'm like, right? And now I'll give you the backstory on why I asked, what is my purpose? I just celebrated my birthday. And even the way that I came into the world, my mom loves telling, my story because I was legit born in a taxi cab.
Okay.
Okay. And happy belated birthday.
It was just that.
Yeah, definitely.
And even when every time since I could remember, every time that my mom told that story, in the back of my mind, I always questioned why and how did we make it through this?
Sure.
Meaning me and my mom,
Yes.
right? Because it's very unusual to hear my mom had just left her doctor's appointment.
Okay.
She went home. Mind you, they did a whole examination. My birthday was supposed to be September 15th.
Okay.
Right? So in her mind, she's like, all right, I got another 2 weeks before this baby is here. Right? She goes home. She goes to the bathroom thinking that she had to pee. And then she realized, oh, my baby's head is right there.
Oh, wow.
So she's now trying to stay calm, but panicking at the same time. And again, this is in the 80s and no cell phone, right? So it's not like she could just quickly call my dad and say, I need you to come home.
Yeah.
Right? My sister was in high school at the time. So my mom is by herself. So she doesn't know what to do, right? She's overwhelmed. So she flagged the little boy that was playing in the hallway of our building at the time. And she said, please go flag me a cab. I need a cab to go to the hospital. The little boy, according to her, barely spoke English, but he understood what she needed.
Sure.
He flagged down a cab. She grabbed her purse and just ran out the door. She jumps in the cab because she had like a flowy skirt on. And she just yells, get to the hospital. I'm having a baby. But the cab driver spoke zero English. So she's now her energy is a little off because now like the protective mom is kicking in. Like the panic mom is kicking in. Like, how do I not think this? So she's screaming, and then now she put her leg up and she's like, oh my gosh. So she's like, my baby's head is right here. So then he handed her a roll of paper towels.
Right.
And she, according to my mom, she starts praying. And she prayed the whole way. And this guy is driving, trying to cut through the Bronx, try to get to the hospital as fast as possible. And then, smartly enough for him, he saw a police officer off to the side, and he went, hung his horn, grabbed the police officer's attention. And then the officer came up to the door, and then my mom, I'm having a baby. I need to get to the hospital. And he's like, what? And then he looks and he sees what's going on. Boom. So now he's leading them, to the hospital. But in that moment, she's trying to keep herself calm. But at that time, nature was just happening. And here I go. I come out. I scream. And to her, she's like, in that moment, she felt that an angel told her, lift your baby's head up so he doesn't swallow any mucus.
Okay.
Keep your hand here.
Yeah.
Right? And just stay calm. And she was able to do that. At that point, the officer had radioed to the hospital, hey, we coming in hot. We need X, Y, and Z. So the taxi driver pulled up. There was a whole team of doctors and nurses outside kind of ready. So my umbilical cord was cut in the cab, right? Like they came, swaddled me up, and then took me in to, do all the examinations that they needed to. And it was a big deal because everyone said like, hey, we need to see the cabbie baby. Because again, I was completely out wrapped in paper towel. Like on my birth certificate, it literally says East Chester Road in the Bronx, right? So for her, she's just, again, asking, like, what is the purpose of my child that he was able to literally come out of this unscathed? Like, there were so many mothers that were trying to figure out, how was the kid that's born in a cab going home before my kid that was born in the hospital, right? So I, as a kid, always used to ask that question.
Right.
So I used to always wonder, what is my purpose here?
Sure.
I used to think, first it was basketball.
Okay.
But God had other plans. My body started just breaking down even before I got done with college. So I'm like, again, this is all personal conversations with myself. So I was like, all right, it's not basketball. Okay, maybe it's coaching, right? And so then, because again, I've had a way of cultivating and building relationships, building trust with people, and they tend to follow many. So now I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'll be a basketball coach and be able to enhance or change or affect in a positive way young men or young women's lives. I'm like, okay, maybe it's that. But the coaching thing never took off. Right? So now I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just a generic leader, period. So I've always had leadership positions in all of the different avenues of work that I've had, and been very successful of moving up, getting promoted fast. So again, I'm thinking that's it too. It was a night of just not sleeping this past December in 2024. That still small voice. You will soon find that this is your calling. But I still didn't get what this is, right? So it took time. And eventually, I figured out what my answer was or is. And it's to be a marriage advocate, right? Because at that particular time, I never was a big social media user, right? Because even the idea of a follower bothers me to my core. Because I always felt like, hey, we could all be leaders in our own, so I don't even like the terminology to follow people. Right. So that was just something I never indulged in, like that. But when the person that you can have any and every single conversation with is no longer around, When you can't sleep at night, when you can't figure out where life is going, that's when I'm like, all right, I got to fill some of this time, right? So first I started going into social media and just scrolling away. And, maybe it was divine intervention, but I started landing on all of these different conversations revolving around marriage that wasn't reality. And it started to bother me, right? Like, come on, man. Like, there has to be more people out there that actually have happy marriages. I know some, right? I'm a product of a happy marriage as well, right? Like, how can I be that change agent? And that's when number one, there was two ideas that came to me all in the middle of the night, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Number one, becoming a public speaker. Because that was the consensus vibe that I got from everyone that attended my wife's funeral.
Okay.
Everybody just kept saying, like, your story and the way that you talk about your wife, people need to hear that. Yeah. Right? I remember one of my really good friends from college, she and her wife pulled me to the side and was just like, hey, Junior, we're good. Like, we're in a really good spot. Like, we barely argue. Like, we work on things together. Like, we're very happy. But after hearing you and what you had to say of just how your marriage was, we realized that we got work to do. And that hit me because I know that they enjoy each other. Like, I've seen them in their element, right? Because this is a friend of actually almost 20 years.
Okay.
And I've seen her daughter grow up, right? I've seen her just deal with life and everything that was thrown her way. But, when she found her person, I saw the pure happiness that they had. And, that made me happy.
Yeah.
But for them to say that to me at that point in time, I said, you know what? You might need to look into this, right? So the public speaking journey, the idea started right there. But then the podcast idea kind of came into the mix as well. So initially, when I saw David Shan's advertisement of his webinar, of just learning the business side of having a podcast and how to go about starting a podcast, the first thing that came to mind, maybe, you know what, I could probably do a sports podcast, specifically basketball. Okay. But I'm like, I could probably just talk about all sports so that way I can do it year round. But I was thinking of it as it to be a release valve in a sense, right? To just give me something to take my mind off of what my reality now is.
Sure.
30 minutes into the webinar, I was like crushing up that piece of paper. Like, we're not talking about sports, bro.
Right.
We're going to keep this around marriage. You just have to figure out how your angle is going to play out. And the main reason Love in the Details came about was me focusing on the little things that mattered to me in my marriage.
Sure.
Is what kept me from that rabbit hole of deep, dark emotions that grief can bring. Because having that alone time with myself, with my thoughts, it gave me that opportunity to realize how blessed and lucky I was to be so in tune and intentional about learning every detail about my wife.
Sure.
I lived with the mindset of every day I woke up, how can I make my wife smile? I lived by that.
Sure.
Right? I appreciated every conversation that we had, and we used to bounce that appreciation off to each other all the time. And we reminded each other all the time on what are the things that we really love and adore about each other. And that was intentional.
Now, you said earlier that, and I want to make sure that I do hear a repeat on this, that you say you had no regrets about your relationship and how you express that love.
So here's how I realized the no regrets kind of mantra.
Sure. Go.
So the day after my wife passed, my parents jumped on their first flight from St. Croix to get to us. And right there in the moment, I realized, like, oh boy, I'm gonna have to change certain things out of her name into mine. And that was hard.
Okay. Right.
And mind you, this is the very next day. So like,
Sure. Right.
I am just all over the place emotionally, but I'm like, you know what? I can do this. Like, I'm giving myself a pep talk before going into into the store, because in my mind I'm thinking of just changing the cable. Right?
Right.
But the gentleman that helped me out, he then started making things make sense financially, of like, hey, you know what, if you combine your internet and open your phone lines, here's what you're going to be saving based on what you're paying.
Right. Okay.
So I said, all right, you know what, let's get this started. What broke me was I started telling him why I was doing what I was doing. So he was like, all right, let's close up that account and then open a new account. Then the question that he asks, do you have any voicemails from your wife that you needed to transfer over? And I sat there and I boo-hooed. But a light bulb kind of went off, because the guy felt so bad that he asked me that question, because like I was like, I couldn't control it. He couldn't console me. It was just all coming out. But then the thought that hit me was, I was so intentional with answering every time that my wife called that she never had an opportunity to ever leave me a voicemail.
Oh.
And in that moment, I found peace in that. I found that I could brag about that. Right? And at that point, like, I'm like wiping my eyes, and like I had a small smile. And the guy was like, you okay? I said, now I am. Because now I just got proud of the fact that no matter what I was doing, no matter where I was at, if my wife called, I'm answering.
Brother, I'm gonna have to stop you there. We gonna go pause on it. And really, and I know where I'm coming from, because I know at times we don't answer each other, or we miss calls, and we say, "Hey, I've been calling you several times," and your perspective. Let's put a new light on it.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
And in times I've even said, let me call you back, because I'm talking to such and such and such. And yeah, I want to learn from your life and not have the regrets of saying that I should have.
Right.
And so I hope you, as our audience and our community, learn a lesson as well to imply now, because again, as the saying goes, like, we miss, is it the water when the well runs dry? Let's not get to that point.
Yes.
And that's the thing, that this has hit me a few weeks ago. Just say, gosh, just sit down and do a podcast. Your wife don't even know what it's going to be about. Just show your appreciation for. And that was the thing I told you. I wasn't going to tell you what our podcast was going to be about, because I just wanted to show that I appreciate you. And I want to say that to in front of our audience and community, because again, it's just like, wow. And just thinking about those things, to say, I may go through that at some point, or you may go through. And the thing about it, I don't want to have the regrets. And brother, I really appreciate your perspective and how you've dealt. I want to say that.
No, I appreciate that, because I think, for me, that's part of the message when I even have the opportunities to just speak to couples in general, and whatever the event or the space or the timing is, because actually you said something in the very beginning that was also a turning point for me to also deal with the pain, right? The day that my family went out to go find suits for the funeral, again, I'm all over the place emotionally, but I'm typically one of those that would pay attention to my surroundings, especially because I worked in retail. I just have an eye of just paying attention to whoever's walking in the store and whatever they're doing. And I see this couple walk in, and from the moment they crack the door, they're at each other's throat, like just arguing, right? As they get closer, again, I don't remember what it was they were arguing about, but I can tell you it is the most mundane, stupidest argument that I've probably ever heard.
I play Leon.
So how that affected me, I didn't really anticipate, right? Because now as they get closer, I'm trying on a suit. My parents and my son is a ways away, but I went to the dressing room, and I'm glad I was kind of there, because part of what they were going back and forth about was the type of shoes he wore to some event, and it didn't match what she had picked out for him. And here I am in that dressing room trying on a suit to bury my wife.
Right.
And you two are having a stupid argument. And in my mind, in that moment, I said, God forbid one of you leaves Earth tomorrow. Is that argument worth your time?
Right.
Because you cannot tell me that argument meant a damn thing.
Right.
If you were in my shoes.
Yes. Right.
Right? So in that moment, I literally pulled the curtain, I sat down, and I cried, because I'm like, I just wish I could hear my wife's voice right now. And these two are wasting energy, wasting valuable time, because tomorrow is not guaranteed to any of us. We don't know what tomorrow is going to ever look like.
Exactly.
Right? So we need to get in that space mentally, emotionally, physically, showing appreciation to your partner every day. Because what I don't like with the conversations that, because everybody has a voice, we all got podcasts nowadays, right? But also we just have social media, so you're free to just say whatever you want, right? But what I don't like is there's a lot of negativity around marriage. There's a lot of difficulties, right? But when you listen to what folks are saying, it is the things that don't matter.
Right.
Yes.
The appearances, the money in the bank, the house, the cars, the handbags. Like, those things don't matter because you can't take them with you.
And those, for a lot of people, are, well, that's deal breakers.
There we go.
Wow. And that's the thing. It is so silly.
It is. And for me, again, to focus on the things that you can't put a price to. Sure.
Right.
The things that you always want to give the reverence to, because it came from your partner from a different vantage point. So whether it's the love notes, the, fixing your favorite meal, at least for me, like, my wife appreciated the fact that I love driving, to the point where she didn't have to drive almost ever again from the moment that we got together. Right? And it's funny because one thing she used to tell me all the time, her favorite uncle, who unfortunately passed like a year before she did, she watched his relationship and his dynamic with his partner for years. And subconsciously, she used to say, I hope my husband is like my Uncle Michael. And when we got married and we're years into our marriage, there was one day that she told me, she was like, I literally married my own Uncle Michael because you do the cooking. Like, you're more domestic than I am, right? And then touching on something that is a hot topic is your relationship roles, right? And even with that, and I put that together in my book as well. Like, we have to understand that we're all different individuals.
Right.
But we come together, hopefully, for the same reason. And whatever that reason is, it needs to be important to you and your partner. That's it.
That's right.
Right? So, with even that understanding, and again, thinking back to, what my wife was subconsciously praying for, I was able to tap into all of that.
Yeah.
Right? I was able to be that for her and she for me. Right? And I think when I think back to the beginning of our relationship, she was the breadwinner. I just graduated college. I had nothing. I had no career. I had no true job to my name at that point. I was working part-time, 2 part-time jobs. Then when I started working full-time in the retail space, she's just like, listen, I don't care what you are doing and, what title you have, because I believe in you, right? I know that you're going to turn your life into something. But at that point in time in our relationship and in our marriage, she's like, the fact that you don't care that I'm a breadwinner, I will do whatever you need to do, whatever it's going to take to help you get to where you want to go.
Sure.
Right? And we established at that point in time, she's the breadwinner. I take care of the house. So I did the cooking, the cleaning, laundry, whatever it took to keep the house
Right.
tidy. That was me.
Right.
Okay. But then we were both of that headspace of understanding those rules are going to change one day. And when they did, it was seamless.
Yeah.
Right? So understanding those things. So when I think back on those type of conversations, when I think back on a lot of those, just great stories for me, it allowed me to handle my grief differently because I spent a lot of time smiling than crying. Don't get me wrong, the tears were definitely there.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, I was smiling, and then sometimes it was happy tears, right? Because sometimes I would be in my room cracking up laughing by myself because I'm remembering certain things, right? So I was telling you guys off camera, at the time of this recording, it's Beyonce's birthday. So when we first got together, and now we're discussing birthdays because I'm big on birthdays, and I literally said, my birthday is September 3rd. Oh, the day before Beyonce. I'm like, okay, because I didn't even. I was just a fan, but I was like not that deep into it, right?
Yeah.
I said I knew she was a Virgo. I didn't know it was the day after mine.
Yeah.
For 2 years straight. Anytime somebody asks, hey, when is Conroy's birthday? Hey, when is Junior's birthday? The day before Beyonce. She never said September 3rd.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm like, we really doing this? You can't even come up with September 3rd. It has to be the day before Beyonce. But it made me laugh. Yes. It warmed my heart because I needed to be attached to that moment.
Sure.
Because there was plenty of them. And again, I appreciated, the way that she made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know that I made her laugh all the time as well. So we had that quirkiness with each other that we could be sitting in silence and just see the same thing, see it differently, and just start busting out laughing without saying a word. Like that was our friendship.
So with that, it brings me to question and it sounds like some of the things she may have said, but what things that keep you where her memory is present, that you keep her present, her memory is already, what do you do? How do you navigate through that? What would you say that helps you keep her alive with you?
So I think it's because we were intentional on a daily basis to enjoy one another in whatever that may be. So even in tough times, so I go back to 2021. No, you know what? Go back even before that. During COVID, right before COVID happened, we moved to Connecticut because I got a promotion for work. We moved in January 22nd, January 26th, Kobe Bryant passes away in his helicopter accident. My wife understood that as a lifelong Laker fan, but a huge Kobe fan, how that type of tragic loss was probably going to impact me in some type of way we hadn't figured out at that point. So I go now in my memory bank to that Christmas. Number one, my wife wanted us to have matching PJs. So she went and found some, she ordered some. So her and I are in matching PJs. So already that's a memory, right? But then, because we typically would like to discuss like, okay, what do you want for Christmas? You know, even if you don't tell me exactly what it is, give me an idea, right? We had that conversation. And I actually want to say it was cologne. That was my thing. Because I wanted to just also keep it cheap because, you know, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, don't want to spend frivolously. So I was like, you know, we'll do one of the favorites that you got me when we first got together. She said, okay. So we had small bottle. Then I see as we're divvying up the presents, I'm like, what is this random box? Right? Because also she wrapped it. I'm the gift wrapper in the house. And so like, what is that? So then she pulls out her phone. So I'm like, okay, this is probably something important. I put the box on my lap and I'm like, okay, it's super light, but what could it be? So I'm racking my brain. She was like, if you don't open that damn box, boy, just get to it. And I open it and I see Bryant 24, and it's a Mitchell & Ness jersey. And I'm just sitting there like, what? Like, I got an authentic Kobe jersey? I didn't even know I needed it at that point in time. But for me, in that moment, to answer your question, it's being present in moments like that, right? I didn't have to say anything about Kobe for 11 and a half months. But she knew that gift was going to mean way more than it just being a jersey. Right? So tapping into those type of memories, thinking back to our trips, thinking back to even tough times that we had, because like I could go into the following year, I had ended up finding out I had a blood clot in my left leg. Super painful. I didn't sleep for 9 days in a row because the pain was that intense. Couldn't walk for 2 weeks because even just being vertical was, again, not even putting weight down, just being vertical was painful. So I was bedridden, right? And to see how attentive my wife was to me and willing to do anything that she needed to do for me to just have peace, just to have comfort. And, you know, she was one to, you know, just need sleep. Like she slept way more than I did. And she interrupted her sleep just to keep me company as long as she could. Especially when she realized that, wait, you still haven't gone to sleep yet? Babe, it's on day 5. It's like, I just can't fall asleep. She would keep my company. And to be present and mindful of those little things. And also we used to just have like those type of just random days where we're just talking about the things that we appreciate about one another, that we've either done recently or you thought of something randomly one day. Hey, you remember when you did such and such? Like, I really appreciated your approach with that, right? We both had those things like readily available to just pour into one another. And most importantly, I think another thing that I tapped into was the conversation. It was a monologue on her point. The Friday before she passed, we thought that, you know, even the doctors said that the way that she was responding to the chemo, they're like, you know what? If your wife stays this steady throughout the weekend, we're going to probably be talking about her being able to come home. We're not in the clear yet, but at least she'll be able to be discharged from the hospital. And when we got to, because my wife wanted me to pick up certain things that she, just wanted to eat, because she got into it with the nutritionalist that was giving her like those naked juices. She's like, if you were paying attention to my chart, you would understand that I have a sensitivity to sugar out of the blue, right? I don't want anything sweet unless it's the natural sweetness of like a freshly juiced whatever, right? So she, asked me to grab some things for her. And I went and grabbed them before going to work. And then she called me, hey, I need that stuff for now. I said, all right, that's fine. I was way ahead of you anyway. And I grabbed that stuff already. So we bring those things, we get to her room. And for the rest of my life, I'm going to always remember how much she poured into me in that moment, because the biggest thing that she, imparted on me was, babe, for as long as we've known each other, everybody has been on your important list but you. And moving forward, I want you to change that. I know what I mean to you. I know what Kyrie means to you. But we can't keep taking and occupying your number one spot. Your number one spot needs to be you.
Right.
And in some of those nights where I couldn't sleep, that's the message that kept replaying. And I said, okay, this is how I'm going to get through grief. I got to heal me.
Yeah.
Right? And what's going to be healing for me? Tapping into my marriage. Right? Tapping into those good memories. Tapping into the fun trips, the funny conversations, the not so great experiences that we were both there for each other. And a bunch of other things. And that's what gave me the power that I needed to kind of shape this new journey that I'm on right now of going into, again, public speaking, having my podcast, and just being in a place where I want to help couples, not just married couples, but couples that are chasing marriage, single folks that are chasing marriage, and just trying my best to do my little part of imparting some type of knowledge, some type of guidance, something that somebody else may use to hold on to. Because again, I would hate for somebody to lose their spouse unexpectedly, and the guilt of not saying the extra I love you, not giving that extra kiss, that extra hug, that trip that you keep putting off for the last 6 years. Anything, because I think we allow life to distract us from taking care of our partner. So for me, I kind of want to change that narrative, and not from a morbid standpoint of like thinking like, oh, your partner's going to die tomorrow. I don't want that. I don't want it to be fear.
Exactly.
Right. I just want it to be, just the thought process of being present in the moment, right? And appreciating your partner for the little things that they may do to just make your life easy, to put a smile on your face, to be that shoulder to lean on. And if I could just even impact one person,
Sure.
then I feel that I'm going back, I'm answering that calling that, God has now put in place for me.
Exactly. And that's important, because again, your story and your experience, it helps me, as I mentioned, to think about the things. And I know we've gone through at times, sometimes we miscommunicate, and I think that it may be culture. It may be places that, because some things may mean one thing to me and it means something totally different. And sometimes we clash about those things. And sometimes I want to halt any ideas of going into contention. I just say, no, let's stop, let's end it. Because again, I want us both to count the moments that, and as I said, is it worth going into this or not? Is it your work? If something were to happen, we just, I don't know whether I'm going to say it, and I don't know whether you want me to, but you can beat me up later. But I want to say this. We went into, just a few weeks ago, a situation that it was out of the blue. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go into the details of it. But this situation put us at a place where, okay, Lord, is this it? You know, with us. And it had us to a point where we were definitely praying and believing God. And I'm thinking, Lord, we got so much work to do. And I know this is not the end here.
Right.
And that's what I'm like, Lord. So you know what we went through. You went through some things. And we haven't spoken a lot about it. But that perspective put us in the place there because we tell the story we go through a lot over the years. And then we were at that point. God, I would say, worked this issue out to a point, and I think only giving us another chance to get it right. And that's what I believe that happens, because I know one day either I'm going to look up and you won't be here, you're going to look up and I won't be here unless the Lord bless us to go together. You know, but I'm telling you, man, that part of life is going to happen. And I listened to you talk about how you got through it, how you getting through it. And I want to ask you something. Your son, how did that trickle down, or how were you able to convey your healing to him? His healing.
I was very mindful on what I said and what I did in front of him, around him, everything like that. And the first thing I started with was, if you want to cry, cry. Right? We have to feel those emotions.
Right.
And with it just being him and I now, I know that in any moment where that sadness was kicking in, I'm going to cry in front of him.
Yes. Right.
So it gives him that green light to do the same.
Right.
Right?
I applaud you, Bob. And I'm going to tell you, I applaud you, and I'm interrupting, and I applaud you because for so long we've been fed the lie that men don't cry.
That's a whole lie.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think another lie is, and I still hear it, that, you know, men don't have those type of emotional wants and needs.
Yes.
Because, man, I can't tell you the amount of times when I really started being really comfortable with my wife, like, and I want to say this was like either just before we got married or right after we got married. That's the first time that I was, as an adult, comfortable enough to shed a tear. Used to block those emotions, just like my life depended on it.
yeah.
And because I was also one of those listening to that noise that, man, I can't cry, shouldn't cry, don't cry.
Been there. Yeah.
Man, when I finally got past that point of realizing you don't have to live that lie.
Bless you.
And God blessed me with a partner that pulled it out of me. I felt that I was the luckiest man alive to have my wife be my wife.
Yes. Right.
Because she was the one to teach me that. And I wouldn't be the man that I am today without her. And that's how I feel that I'm, you know, just kind of keeping her presence alive.
Sure. Wow.
That's how I am, you know, very proud of, you know, every time saying my wife.
Sure.
Right?
Well.
You know, because definitely, hands down, the best thing that ever happened in my life was her. Right? And I'm not ashamed of saying so.
Brother.
And I think we all need to get to that point that you want to brag about your spouse.
Nonetheless, you just hit something here. If you remember, we did the neighborhood that I tell you about where we met.
Yep.
Park. We spoke one year, and we asked about marriage, and even with men stating, you know, hey, I love my wife, you know, and there's been a shame part of that. It makes us feel like we're less cool if we state those facts that I love this woman. I really appreciate her. and this is my wife, this is my woman, I love her, and that's been, I don't know, the shame for a lot of our brothers to admit. And I really appreciate what you say, because I've been thinking that thing.
I've seen it and heard some of those conversations, and in my personal opinion, I think outside of being a parent, because not everybody gets that opportunity, and I understand how sacred that can be, but in my opinion, outside of being a parent, I think being a spouse should be the most proud title that anybody should wear.
Sure.
I don't care about being an owner, a president, a CEO.
Yeah.
Those titles mean nothing. Because when you go and they have to put up your tombstone, CEO, owner, business partner, that has never been put on a tombstone. It's husband, it's wife, it's father, it's mother, brother, sister. That's what should matter. Those are the titles that you should be trying to be the best version of yourself with said title.
Sure.
So you should be striving to be the best husband, the best wife, the best mother, the best father. And then everything else after that.
Sure.
Because those are the ones that matter.
Right.
You should be proud of that. Because again, there's a reason that the God, universe, whatever higher power you believe in, has put that particular person or people, when you talk about having kids, there's a reason you are blessed
Yes.
with those presents.
Right.
You have to honor why those people are valuable to you. Because money can't buy them back.
Right. No.
Right? So, when you have that intentionality on doing what you need to do as a spouse, you should be super proud that there's another human being out there that relies on you that way. Another adult, I should say. Because the kids are going to rely on you, but it's a different type of reliance.
Yes.
But the reliance of a spouse, the support of a spouse, again, personal opinion, I think there's, some minds out there. You can insert whatever word that you want, but there's some people that really don't want to see happy relationships.
Not sure.
They want to see those broken homes, right? They tend to celebrate, like, so again, being a sports person, when you see the single moms and the single dads at these drafts, whether it's the NBA, NFL, MLB, it feels like there is a bunch of smiles from these folks that remain in the shadows when they see that single mother or those single mothers that they're up there and they're cheering their son on, but this young man is using the motivation of, oh, my dad wasn't around.
Right.
Yeah.
We should not be having that happen or continue at cycle.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? And then even vice versa. There's times where, oh, my dad is my everything, my mom, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Yeah, it's just my dad. Come on, man. Like, we need to be more intentional with, who we want to procreate. Again, that person may not be the fit for marriage, but don't think that marriage still can't happen for you.
Right.
Right. Because I think that's another thing as well. Is some people just think like, okay, because it didn't work out with who you had a child with, you think it's the end of the world. No.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've told family members, audiences, clients. I've said this time and time again. There's over 8 billion people on planet Earth. You mean to tell me you can't find one? You can't find one out of 8 billion? I find that hard to believe.
But it's interesting because there is a lot of single mothers or even fathers out here that are looking or praying for that special one, and there's a scripture that said, a man that finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And
See the favor of the Lord.
yeah. And in finding that, sometimes it's like we don't necessarily have to go out and search for it.
Nope.
Because the Lord could have your Boaz come to you, or your Naomi or Ruth,
Right.
come to you. So if, as we've said before, if you focus on your foundation of where you need to start from, which is God first, then allow God to pour that in to you. And from what I hear, your relationship with your wife and, even imparting that wisdom in your son, God blessed you to be able to have that unity with someone that you cherish. And, we as relationship strategists and advocate for strong marriages and relationships, and which we feel so connected with your podcast as well, because this man has gone through the trenches of being able to have the experience to talk to you, audience, you single lady, you single mother, as well as some of the audiences out here that may have dealt with the tragedy of losing a wife or a husband, of knowing how hard it is, and being able to reach back on memories, and knowing that your foundation, that when you first started, was Christ built first. So, I'm so, full of your story. And we wanted to, we've spoken to, other singles and stuff like that, those that are talking about, marriage, but having that understanding that when you come together as a unified individuals, then a lot of the petty stuff that we even have dealt with, we learned so much just from talking to you. And yeah, we've been married for 40 years, but is that quality 40 years? You were married for 12?
13. This year would have been 14 years.
13 and a half years. He's married. And, that was quality time.
Oh, yes.
And sometimes people who married 40, 50, 60, 70 years may not been able to feel that quality that you had in the 12 years, 12, 13 years. So, it's only been a pleasure for us to be able to garner what you have presented to us. And if you was to say, as we come to, conclusion of our episode here, but never the conclusion of this walk of perseverance that this man has given, what would you say to someone that may have lost their spouse, of how to get through the way you may have shared with us?
Number one, I think the first thing I would say is figure out your own why did this happen and what you're supposed to learn from it. Right? Because I think you'll probably surprise yourself on what answers you uncover. Right? You're probably going to realize at some point, because everyone is going to be different, but you're probably going to realize you're stronger than what you may think. Because that type of loss is, again, something you can't really wrap your head around, unfortunately, and you don't even want to think about that, right? Because that's where I was, dealing with those last couple of days. Just didn't want to, again, just realize that this was about to become my reality, right? I think the next thing is work on yourself. And what I mean by that is tap into the pain, right? Allow yourself to feel it. Sure. But at the flip side of that, wherever there's crying, there's laughter. So as much as you would want to just allow those tears to just keep flowing and everything like that, now think of, okay, what's a moment that I can tap back into that my spouse made me laugh, made me smile, made me think, right? And you're going to end up going down a positive rabbit hole of a plethora of, just small little details that, again, your grief sometimes puts a cloud over it and you really can't see it, right? But when you're intentional about going in your memory banks, I think you're going to find some things that is going to allow you to smile, right? Number 3, don't tap into the guilt of the things that you did not get to do. Because we all have the shoulda, woulda, couldas, right? But if we give those things power and dominion over us, we're going to be in trouble.
Sure.
Right? So, yes, you're going to probably have those thoughts creep in. Fight them off. Fight them off with the things that you did do. Right? Whether it's a big moment, small moment, or anything in between, tap into those. Right? If you're fortunate enough to have children with that spouse, tap into your kids or child in my case. Because you'll be surprised on the little things that they'll be doing or saying that will remind you of your spouse. And you can't do anything else but smile, right? Because I know that there's little things that my son does now that even if they were like a pet peeve, I miss that.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's doing something that his mama used to do, that even if it was a pet peeve, do it, because I am not complaining, right? Because I'm allowing myself to live vicariously through him, because she's still alive through him to me.
Yes.
Right? So I think just those 4 things will probably surprise folks if they were even to try a couple of them. You'll be surprised on the strength that you'll get from it, right? Utilizing your downtime to again figure out what your new path is, what your new chapter is, right? So even for me, I know at some point eventually, and one of my friends asked me this question, will you get married again? And I didn't even have to hesitate. That's a resounding yes. You know why? Because 1, I had no regrets in my marriage.
Okay.
I gave my wife every fiber of me every day since we've been together. So even before putting a ring on her finger, everything that I did was for her.
Yeah.
Right? So I know what I've put into my relationship. She knows and she felt it. And one thing that I do remember saying, at the funeral is whatever your love languages are, speak those fluidly, speak those daily. So for me, but the love language of physical touch was something that was important to me. So, walking by, slapping her butt for no reason, kissing her forehead, like every day, and probably routinely at least kissed each other 5 times a day. And that's bare minimum.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of days where it's more, right? But knowing that I did that for however many days, that adds up to 16 years, right? I routinely did that because we were always together, right? So for me, I know that I can do that again. And the reason I want to do that is because, again, thinking of the bigger picture, I don't want my son growing up with the whole single dad mantra. Because I don't want him to then become a dad and then understand like, well, my dad made it as a single dad. No. Right. I want you to be married. I want you to have a wife. I want you to have kids. I want you to have that household that you did have up until your 12th birthday.
Sure.
Right? So whenever it is that time does happen again, it's just an add-on to what you have already witnessed and what you've already lived.
Yes.
Right? So that way, it's going to also just give him that subconscious strength of knowing when I become a husband, I've already witnessed in sickness and in health. To a different degree. Because the person that brought me into this world is no longer here since I've been 12 years old. However, my dad was there to be that example. My mom told me that I have a great example. I understand that as his dad, I need to continue being that example.
Yes. Yes.
And if I do within the best of my abilities to set that I don't even want to say a pedestal, but it's just an example. But if I set the table the right way, he has no choice but to kind of follow that, right? Because it's just something that is intentionally ingrained in him through my actions. So, I'm very cognizant of that. And that's what I kind of, just want to build as, I guess, my brand.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Well, this is quite a bit. It really gives me a whole different perspective. And, you talked about sort of analyzing or thinking. I'm a thinker as well. And you do really giving me a lot to think about. And I hope he's doing the same for the end.
Yeah.
I hope so too. And because, again, when we get along and we think about each other and how we deal, it's like you got to have a conscience towards your mate. You got to, even at times we may take each other, as the term is, for granted. And I don't want to live in regret. I'm going to say it. I do not want to live in regret. And as I tell you, woman, you knew I loved you. I tell you that. But I guess sometimes saying that is one thing, but showing that is something else.
Yes.
And it resonates with me, the things that's been said. And if you reach one, I'll say you reached this brother. And I'm gonna be that, because your words haven't just landed nowhere.
Right.
I'm gonna say they landed right here. I know from me, and I'm telling you that but we have had, and we have desired to talk to people that have gone through, because very sensitive area, for the most part. Some people, the hurt of just talking about,
Or even just thinking about it.
oh yeah, gosh, man, and it's something. And I do appreciate your openness, yet being open, and your honesty in that. And then to me, as a man, like I tell my wife, that I believe I'm an open and honest man, and I tell her, I don't know whether you appreciate that or not, but and I say this much is that I'm going to tell you what's on my heart, and you do what you want with it. I'm just that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You will know that long gone is that man poured his heart out to.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you, brother. And I want to say, I guess in wrapping up, what last words would you want to give us? Or what would be just the, the final words right now that you want to share?
I would say, number one, appreciate the fact that you guys are building something together, even at the beginning of year 40. Yes. The fact that you have restarted your podcast, right? For some people, it might be simple, but from my perspective, again, not to sound like a morbid Debbie Downer type, but I wish I had got an opportunity to start something like this, like whether it's a podcast, whether it's a blog, whether it's an Instagram page, whether it's a business, right? To be able to build something with your partner, I don't think people understand how powerful that can be, right? Because it's going to force you guys to be on the same page because you have the same end goal in mind, right? It forces you to work together, to be together. And I think, just going forward and appreciating every single moment that y'all are brainstorming, that you're thinking about your guests, you're thinking about your topics. And then even outside of the podcast, you're thinking about your future trips. Yes. You're thinking about, just the things that you guys want to do just together. Yes. Right. Keep it intentional. Right. Because one thing I appreciate about you guys' energy as a couple, like you seem about 20 years younger than what you are. Just because y'all have a lot of life, you can see that you guys enjoy smiling and laughing and just, being around each other, right? Do more of from a verbal standpoint, sure, of making sure each other knows where you stand. Yes. Right? Because in the days when you don't think that you need it, it's going to be there. Yes. Right? And I think there's power in what you have stored up here and here, because that's the number one place that your spouse. Those are two places that your spouse has complete access to. Yes. Yes. So, for me, I know that appreciating those things when my wife was physically here has allowed me to appreciate it even more when she's now just spiritually here with me. Right. And I think that's why I'm able to smile, even though it is not the most ideal situation. Right. And, I think that with that type of mindset, the next X amount of years that you guys will continue to adore one another is probably going to turn into some real golden age years for both of you. Yes. Right? And I think that your audience would be able to see and hear and feel that transformation. And it would allow for the message that you guys have put this podcast together for, it's going to hit them for the right reason. And they'll be able to have that example and have those key takeaways. Because they can see from the early days of your podcast to what is going to be from this point on, there's going to be a lot of intentionalities, and, you probably won't even need to talk about it because you're living it. Right. And I think, the folks that's in your community, not just your podcast community, but the community that you guys live in, your church community, your friend community, everyone will be able to learn from your example. And I can already feel that that will happen because you guys have that type of influence, and it's very important to you guys as individuals, but also as a couple. So I know that it's going to be very easy for you guys to continue to, kind of keep that train moving down the track.
Sure. And we appreciate the prophetic message, bro.
Stomach seed. But as we are totally coming to a close here, I want to make sure that you guys, audience, please like, subscribe, and share to Love in the Details.
Love in the Details.
Go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, so whenever he puts some content out there, you will totally be aware. I do want to read just a little plug in his description that shows how intentional he is, and his words that he has given us that we will take. It is totally intentional to what we do, because I loved everything about what this man has said. And, you know, he has welcomed to love in the details. You know, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the small, often overlooked moments that make relationships thrive. You know, in a world that often focuses on the big gestures, we believe it's the little things. And he has something called the little things that he talks about. The quiet conversations, the shared smiles, the thoughtful acts that truly keeps love alive. You know, this is just, you gotta go want to read this, guys. I'm just telling you, this man, he's not the age he told us. He has lived here before.
Yeah, I asked a question like what was the other line?
So tune into his stories. You know, we are so honored to have him on our podcast, and I see nothing but growth potential. I see a plethora of your wife taking you to that journey. And my husband and I, we are honored to ride this journey with you. So
Appreciate that.
we will have our grandson growing up with your son, something out of way where we can connect to just talk through, you know? And I'm saying that just to be able to help him understand, as a single mom dealing with a single child, he can talk to someone else, you know? So I am so honored, so grateful for this time. I really am. And that we were able to come into the comfort zone here and make him as comfortable as possible. Again, this is his birthday weekend. And we with Beyonce.
The day before Beyonce.
And I am yelling out happy birthday to our son as well at that 35. So that
brother.
yes. So thank y'all so much. As we end this podcast, I give you the last word to say.
Well, I want to say this much. I really appreciate Brother Conroy sharing and even meeting him from the start. And I think a positive connection, I'll say. And I think Podcast Summit was, there were several God connections that happened with us. And it was just, there's no way this could have been, you know, even orchestrated or written down. And we knew it had to be God several times. Yeah, there's quite a bit of that. And one thing I do want to end on prayer, if you're prayer, yeah, definitely. I just want to say, God, we thank you, Lord, for our space in the place. And God, we ask that you use us as you have. Use us all, Lord. Help us to change the world when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriage. Dear God, when it comes down to love and affection, help us, dear God. Help us to show these examples that we need to show, and help us to be a light in a dark world. And we thank you, Father. Thank you for the brother and his son coming to us. And we just ask blessings on blessings, guide him to the place that you have him to be. And in that purpose, help us all to find the purpose, because we know that all purposes are in you. And dear God, help us as we come into you to discover those purposes. And we thank you, Father. We ask that God, for all many blessings, that we all are safe and we in the place that you desire. And that God, help them through the healing and help them through the hurt. And their Father, as we believe and as they share and as they continue to share his wife's memories and keep those alive. We thank you, dear Father, in your Son, Jesus Yeshua's name, we've prayed. And we bless your name. Until next time.
Till next time.
Just keeping it real with Charles and
Melendia?
Yep, and we got both to come, Mama Maggie. Brother. So peace out.
Bye.
In love's garden, watch it grow. Just keeping it real.